Hey everybody, it is day 54 of my 90 days of dating myself challenge, and I am here today to share a tip with you guys about urges applying to both the binge eating problem that I am overcoming and my dating myself challenge. So I'm gonna zoom this up real quick. So there's as you can tell, I am an amateur camera woman, but here is real quick that Catch, Defend, Act, Trust series, right? That is the sequence I use as I learn not to act out on harmful urges to binge eat and harmful urges to go from relationship to relationship. So this is a little process I use when sitting out those urges. And typically, well, I wouldn't necessarily say typically, but maybe frequently, when I have urges to do either of those things, sometimes the process of resisting the urge, so which is basically, where the D comes in, right? The defend process, the accessing the part of my brain that is the wise part, the warrior, the part that is trained not to act out on those urges. Sometimes that process can kind of feel like pulling teeth, right? I notice things happening in my mind and my body where it really feels like I am struggling to access what I need to act the A, right? To act in a different way and to access the trust I need that change will be okay. So I tried something today that I think will be useful to others. Basically what I did is I had a couple of urges to overeat earlier. And what I did is I told myself it's important to stay calm. And I breathed with that for a little bit. And I experienced myself like the getting calmer in my body, and the vibration in my body kind of going down to another level. I think that I have acquired the limiting belief over the years that sitting through urges is always going to be difficult. And I think I acquired that belief for a good reason, and based on past experience. But if anything, what I'm learning, through this process is that past experience does not have to dictate future responses. And I think that's a hard lesson to unlearn. It's definitely a hard lesson to unlearn, even if the unlearning will benefit me, because it is a much easier experience if we learn to meet these urges with calm rather than the hysteria we're used to. But we're creatures of habit, right? So that takes that takes a conscious effort to combat. But it was such a less tense experience, really being able to meet that urge with ease. I did meditate this morning, which may have helped me get in the mindset to do that. But I would encourage anybody else who's going through this process to try it. To try what I did, and next time you have an urge, rather than going, oh my God, it's an urge again, this is so hard, I got to get in high gear, oh my God, and rather than applying that like frenetic, increased heart rate, increased anger, increased tension into it, meeting it with an observation and a deep breath. Observe and describe, is often a tool used in mindfulness. And part of me is like, Ash, aren't you going to say to people it's easier said than done? Because that has been my experience sometimes, but it might not be yours, and it might not be my experience anymore. In order to make change manageable for me and not something I'm constantly battling. I need to learn how to meet it with greater ease. I'm tired of this being hard. I'm tired of thinking that my addictive tendencies are something that I'm just always going to have to struggle against. And sometimes people think of a warrior, which is like a warrioress, like my feminine symbol of recovery. People tend to think of a warrior as somebody who is, constantly armed and in battle, but it doesn't have to look like that. A warrior can be calm and graceful, and instead of fighting the urges, channeling the calm needed to ride it through. So I really hope that I can do that, and remember that when future urges arise, because the more difficult I make the process of going through it, the more I'm going to want to overindulge on food, or distract myself, with the fun of flirting or getting involved or getting attention from somebody. So it's important. And, in terms of dating myself, think about, when your partner is going through something challenging. You want to support them and make the process as easy and loving for them as possible. And that's what I need to do for myself. So I am setting the intention here to, please keep this for the rest of the day, and to remember this approach. And I will talk to everybody tomorrow for day 55. Thanks.